I've put this matan with this sanad and this sanad with this matan. That is called al-qalb. This was done to Imam al-Bukhari. So one of the reasons why qalb is done is to test the memory of someone. So it was done to Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari became famous. He was known for being a muhaddith. That's why they call him Amir al-Mu'mineen of Hadith, the leader of the Mu'mineen when it comes to Hadith. Is that understood? طيب. So when he came to Baghdad, they wanted to test him out. We've always heard of Bukhari, they say. Let's see what he's made of. طيب. They got 100 ahadith and 10 people. 10 people stood with one another, stood in a line, stood together in the gathering. Each one was given 10 hadiths. Each one was given how many hadith? 10. How many hadiths do they have in total? 100. Those 100 ahadith, they changed all of the sanads. Changed the narration. So they said, we're going to test him now. So he sat down, they sat down, you know, small talk. Anyway, sat in the gathering. They mentioned Umar mentioned his 10 ahadith. He listened. He goes, La, I don't know this hadith. Abdullah mentioned his 10 hadith. Ruhayli kadhalik, likewise. Zakaria likewise. Ajwad likewise. Hamza likewise. Yahya likewise. Until they reached 10 hadith. Each one said how many hadith? 10. And each one he said, I don't know. I don't know this hadith. I don't know this hadith. So the common folk, the awam, they thought, Bukhari, he doesn't know nothing. Bukhari, that's why they're telling us he's Bukhari. You know? He doesn't know nothing. But the 10 narrators, they were astonished. Why? Because he knew that they were wrong. So what happened was, he goes, listen, I don't know these are hadith. After they finished, he said, but the hadiths that you narrated, this hadith, the first hadith, and he picked it one by one. The first hadith you narrated, the correct sanad is am fulan, am fulan, am fulan. The second hadith that you said, the correct sanad is am fulan, am fulan, am fulan. That's its correct sanad. The third hadith, the fourth hadith, the fifth hadith, the 10th hadith that you narrated, that was the sanad for it. As for you, Abdullah, the 10 hadiths that you mentioned, the first one, the sanad that you mentioned, the hadith that you mentioned, its correct sanad is am fulan, he gets one of the other hadith. Is that understood? Then they knew that he was an imam in hadith. طيب. The scholars can say, it's not surprising that Imam al-Bukhari, he knew 100 hadith. It's not surprising, is it? Obviously, he can tell the sanad of them. What's more surprising is, he memorized the mistakes that they made. He memorized the hadith in the wrong way that they mentioned. The wrong order of the hadiths. He memorized it in the wrong way. Have you understood? So Umar, his 10 hadiths, there was a contradiction between the sanad and the matan. He memorized the contradiction as well as already knowing the correct sanad. So that is what the scholars say. That was more surprising than anything, they say. طيب, so that is al-Maqloob. Is that understood?